Good afternoon. It is 2:41 at the weekend. I feel like I'm already behind. I know it's a stupid thing to think about, but I had all my weekend prepared, and then it kind of all like time just seems to dilute at the minute. It just seems to disappear. Anyway, I wanted to go over a whole bunch of things this week that I've got into in crypto and in digital in general. And obviously the big thing of the moment is NFTs. Everywhere you go, everybody's talking about NFTs. It's actually really annoying to go onto TikTok and there's just people who've never been into crypto or into non-fungible tokens or any of this stuff, blockchain stuff, haven't been into it for 3 or 4 years. And you feel some kind of sense of like ownership over it because you've been around for a while and you've heard about these things bubbling up, and then there's just people who like latch on to the latest trends, and then they see like people earn 6 million for like a 10 or 15 second animation and instantly think, oh shit, like I've got to invent loads of NFTs because I can earn just as much money, without looking at the legacy of the fact that people, for instance, has spent the last 13 14 years making a piece of art every single day. Which it's funny how the generation in front of us is always the one who is willing to just like jump in and have a go, but ignore legacy. Like I remember in my 20s when I first went raving, I felt like we were the first people to be raving. And then obviously there's like people before that in the 80s, in the 70s, in the 60s. But with the speed of social media these days, like people latch onto this stuff and they just like are all over it. So I wanted to touch on a little bit of NFTs today, but not because everybody else is jumping on it, just because the clients that I'm working for, I've got one more month with LaborX and TimeX and PaymentX, which I'll get into in a bit. By the way, use my code Phil10, get $20 worth of crypto. That's my little ad. I'm going to drop that in now. I'll probably put an ad at the end as well. But they put a tweet up the other day saying NFTs coming to LaborX, and I was like, yes, NFTs, that'd be interesting, like crossover to bolt it in. And I couldn't quite work out what they were offering to start off with, but what they're really saying is that there's going to be people out there, right, who are going to see NFT stuff for the first time, and they maybe have a brand, they maybe have a patent, maybe have a bunch of physical real world collectibles, and they have all the licensing and everything for it, but they don't have the technical know-how. They don't understand about NFTs, blockchains, you know, Ethereum, having a digital wallet, you know, getting paid in a digital manner, and how they deal with the taxation and everything else that goes along with it. So at first I was like, NFTs to LaborX, that's interesting. Like, are there going to be some kind of collectible thing in there? And then I realized actually it was offering services in crypto. But then again, I had another thought, which was like, oh, right, so this is kind of like the first time that I've seen that all of these things join up together, right? So you have an analog collectible, for instance, a physical card, and you would normally have to pay somebody in fiat money, in US dollars or GB pounds or whatever it is that you have to get work done, to get those cards produced, yada, yada, yada. And so now we have this kind of digital pipeline, right? Because you can pay for things with crypto. So it got me thinking about like a 360 circle of like working online. The people who create the cards, the designer, the artist, the people who write the law. There's a whole production line there that can be built digitally online using NFTs and using these services like LaborX, hiring people to do digital work for you and getting paid in crypto money. And so it got me thinking that you could literally build out a team on LaborX of like 5 people, like a designer, somebody writing the law, somebody dealing with the listing of the stuff on OpenSea, and yada yada, different kinds of jobs. But everybody could be got together in like a circle group or a Discord group, and you could literally build yourself a little mini company with everybody knowing what their role is, and everybody else to publicly see when the listings are going live and how much money that listing got, and then you just divvy the money up to everybody who is involved in that group. And if you find yourself a really good team, you can be putting these out regular, everybody knowing that they've got money coming in and they're all working towards the same goal. There's no like hidden agenda, there's no like behind the scenes, there's no not knowing if somebody in your office is getting more money than you. It just cuts out so many middlemen, and that's really exciting to me. So I've been messing around with NFTs this week. What I actually did this week is Hive was up at 30 cents, 31 cents, I think. It's dropped down to 29 now. But there's a great website that I've always used for the last 3 or 4 years, which is Block Trades. So what I did, I thought, why not use some of my old like staked crypto that I have in this blockchain, which I don't really use that often or use that much anymore, to be honest. But I thought, let me take some of it down, let me power some of it down, which effectively I'm taking some of the stake out of that blockchain. And this blockchain is great for like social blogging and video and audio and pictures and writing and stuff. So if you're like a first timer who wants somewhere to blog on the web and you don't have to host your own WordPress, check them out. They're pretty cool for that. But anyway, I took the money out, not all of it, just a chunk of it, and went over to OpenSea and finally got a bunch of little animated cinemagraphs up. Now, I'm not an artist, right? In any shape or form. Like I haven't like trained, or like I haven't got the skill set to have like sat down and learned to go through this. But I am interested in the whole idea of digital legacy. So what do I mean by that? I mean, what happens when somebody's trying to pass something on to the next generation? Now, all of our pictures and videos are all stored in the cloud somewhere, but how does family members get to it? So I'm interested in the crossover between NFTs and legacy. So I took some of these little cinemagraphs that I took in 2015 with my daughter and created a little group called Father Augmented. Now, I'm not bothered about selling. Let me just say that. Like, there's no chance that anybody's going to buy these, right? They're not like the art stuff that you see out there and the 3D stuff or anything like that. That was never the intention. More than anything is that I took some stake out of a blockchain that I've been involved with for 3 or 4 years, paid a massive like gas price. I think it was like $50 just to be able to do the first initial transaction on OpenSea to say, hi, this is me, this is my wallet, let me post stuff. And once you've paid that first payment, then you can post on OpenSea effectively for free. It just uses your wallet to verify that it's you and that you're doing that transaction. And then when you're putting these things on the blockchain, that the record is tied to you with that wallet. So I put them all up kind of jokingly, but also to step through, because you've got to step through and try these things out. And I have to say, OpenSea is incredibly easy to use. And so one of the reasons why I love cryptocurrencies and blockchain, and it's not just like a fad for me and like, oh, this person sold $6 million worth, is that for the first time, for your average person in the street, we have the ability, without a lawyer, without a solicitor, to be able to lock some personal documents like videos or images onto the blockchain, and they're verifiable. They're verifiable in terms of I did it at a certain time. And because they're on the blockchain, yeah, OpenSea may disappear, but like somebody who's, you know, my daughter went to somebody in say 10 years time and asked her to find some of my videos or images, she could find references on the blockchain to certain pictures that she'd either lost or forgotten about, or memories or experiences that she'd forgotten about. So I think this is a massive area in social media and legacy that nobody's really looking at. Nobody's looking at like a service level agreement of legacy digital documents. And I think the next generation of like solicitors or mainly solicitors, not lawyers, but I can't think of the name of the people who look after those kind of things. I'm sure you'll put something in the comments and tell me. But just being able to put those cinemagraphs onto the blockchain and know they're there forever, or at least as long as OpenSea's up. Obviously, you can use some kind of block explorer and find them if you're savvy enough. But it got me playing around with it. I was like, yeah, that's cool. Like I might build on this when lockdown's finished, or when we're allowed back out again, to take more cinemagraphs with a better quality camera with like a catch-up thing. And I really like the story stuff behind it. You know, like I put in the description, locked in the digital smart contracts primordial ooze, locked in time, literally frozen, immutable, looping memories of an earth playing love between an adult and child. And so, you know, that's kind of big for me. I like the idea that there was a testament of a time, of a moment locked down between me and my daughter that we shared outside of the pandemic, before the pandemic. You have to remember, everybody's been in this pandemic for like a year and a half, 2 years, and kind of forgotten the outside world in terms of like, you know, we feel disconnected from each other in some way. So that then took me on to playing around with NFT Showroom, which I have to say is very, very, very polished. So one of the downfalls about OpenSea is because Ethereum is very popular right now, the price of gas is absolutely through the roof. So that would turn a lot of people off if they just wanted to play like I was playing, to be able to put up their own NFT and be like, yeah, I created an NFT. So one of the alternatives to that is there's NFT Showroom, which is a really slick, fast loading, well designed, nicely put together, and it's really starting to take off. You can see here 81 art sold today, and when I was looking at it maybe a month or 2 months ago, there was only like 10 or 20 things actually being released, so per day, or sold per day. And I love it. I think it's fantastic. All I had to do, I did the same thing. I put my collection on here again. I'm not here to sell necessarily. I'm just here to like imbibe those moments into a blockchain with a time reference to it. It's a bit like having your own time capsule. You know, like you see these things in towns and cities across the world where they like dig up a sidewalk and put in a time capsule. It's just a digital version of that, right? So I like this because you can swap tokens to be able to get a hold of a bunch of tokens. And then with that, I can spend 5 of these swap hive, and I think it works out at the minute of about $2 or $3 to be able to, mint one of these things basically. And with this, it says I can tokenize up to 24 entries. So you pay the 5 swap hive for the first edition, and then you can say like there is 10 editions of this, and people can buy each one of those editions. Well, I'm not doing any of that. I'm just doing each one, but it's incredibly quick. You don't have to necessarily wait for anything. You do have to get verified. So I am a verified artist, and there is a great little messaging center built into it. All in all, very slick, very organized. If you're looking to do NFTs for the first time without the big expense of gas fees, do go and check that out. And you can get all your stuff from Hive Engine. You can get those tokens from Hive Engine. So you can see here I've got 28.56, and if I go to Hive Engine, I've got 28.56, and it gives you the token value here. So you can do some rough calculations of how much things are costing you by just having these numbers there. Another thing this week, which I've been really getting into, is encrypted DNS. And I've been getting into this because I want to be able to handle on a DNS level the ability to go and have a look at decentralized sites, because there's a big niche selling area just outside of the edge of NFTs for domain names. And one of the interesting connections of that, going back to what I was saying earlier about all these things are kind of connected together, is that you can sell your domain names, your decentralized domain names, on something like OpenSea. So people can bid on your domain names if they're looking for a domain name. I have I accept payment in crypto. So I accept payment in .crypto. But it kind of flows off the tongue, like if you want to put it on a business card. Not that anybody has cardboard these days, but I really like the fact that if you're an early mover into these areas, you can pick up some of the cool stuff, sit on it for a couple of years, stick it on OpenSea, put a price behind it of something that you think you want to sell that for, and just let it sit there until somebody comes along, maybe drives by and is interested in buying it. Anyway, back to encrypted DNS. So one of the features about having complete control over your DNS is that you can do some really, really cool things now. And one of them is the ability to use Handshake. So I'm just going to quickly read this to you so it gives you a bit of an idea as to what it is. Handshake is an experimental peer-to-peer root naming system that lets people register and secure their own top-level domains, so TLDs. By enabling this, you will be able to resolve all Handbrake domains without the need to install anything on your device. That's huge, because if you have it at the root level, if you have it at the router level and you have it at DNS, that means anyone on the network that is using the DNS that they're connecting to through your router, then automatically on their browser they can put these things in without any plugins or anything. So the cut down on friction there is huge. And so it allows you to go to things like laboratory / which is really, really like cool to have like such a short name. So I started digging a bit further into this, and there's a whole website you can go over and read the documentation, handshake.org, Decentralized Naming and Certificate Authority. And then they have a brilliant wallet, and they've called it Bob. And it's really, really cool. It's really, really easy. And one thing I really like about this whole process of handshake is the way they've gone about giving out kind of coins on their blockchain, if you like. So the thing you can do with Bob is search and bid on names, manage the domains and the DNS records, send and receive and claim your HNS, which is the currency of Handshake, or you can run a full Handshake node. So you can also go over to their GitHub, and there's a whole like downloadable wallet thing. But the thing that I loved about it the most is the way that they did their management for funds. They've got this Handshake worldwide airdrop, and if you're a DTuber, you know we've just had our last airdrop here, which was like 6 airdrops for people who've been around for a while. They had a really interesting way of airdropping some of their HNS for people. What they did is they actually made a database or a listing of everybody on GitHub that was developer based on 15 or more followers during the week of such and such, and if they had a SSS PGP key. And then there was another one which was PGP of trust, which was a strong set email plus PGP keys. And then there was another one which was the handshake.org faucet, which is closed now. But what I really liked about that is that gave HNS to people who are already involved and interested in this scene. So taking something like TikTok, right, what I was saying earlier on about people are all of a sudden into NFTs, they wouldn't have got the airdrop, they wouldn't have got the value of the early coins. And I think that's a very important distinction to make, is that if you're really interested in this stuff, it's not just like a drive-by thing and get the coins and sell them. Admittedly, I've done that many times in the past, but I didn't realize what the reasons were behind keeping them and keeping the value in, and staking. I did a lot more research on staking, and I learned a lot more than I knew like a year and a half ago. But I really like the way that they did that, because they've got a whole bunch of developers on board now, because they've all got tokens, and they're probably going to sit on those tokens and also develop things for this handshake.org protocol. So that's something really cool to get into. If you wanted to register domain names with Handshake, if you've got some HNS, you can go over to Namebase. You can have a whole like dashboard wallet there, and you can get your HNS put into this wallet, and then you can also then go and bid on domain names. They have a really interesting system for bidding on domain names. You don't just like find one and buy it. There's a whole like auction process, which I presume is more fair. I didn't kind of understand the rules, and I'm still like learning that, but the second biggest bidder or something pays for the one before it or something like that. It's kind of really interesting how they go about it. But it's obviously decentralized domain names. Very interesting area to get into if you're looking to hodl something long term as an asset. And decentralized domain names are going to be big, I think. So I just want to quickly finish up today. I'm doing my last month of influence kind of link up shit poster, as we called it, over on LaborX. If you've not heard about these guys yet, I truly think that they add a element of that 360-degree loop that I was on about earlier on. You can go on there now, and they've got a category for NFTs. So they did have one for blockchain and crypto. Now they've got a dedicated section for NFTs, and there's already people putting listings in there. There's only 4 listings on there at the moment. So there's people here doing NFT consultancy. But if you're an artist, if you're a graphics artist, if you're a animator, if you do motion video, things like that, put your stuff up here on LaborX, because people are going to be looking for people to work with to get their like physical collectibles up on digital, and hopefully try and spin up some NFT Ethereum cash from it, probably. Like there's this guy, NFT Consultants by Bruce the Goose, and he's got a whole section here, scheduling an hour-long call you'd strategize, recommend on if, how, why you should integrate NFTs into your business model or product, as well as provide information how to best utilize the immense potential of the token model. So, and that's $50 an hour. So there's people actively like out there putting their servers out for this. And this stuff's going to be around for a while. This is not a fad. This is going to be a big marketplace, and it's kind of one of the killer apps of decentralization, I think, because people can understand it, right? People understand collecting cards, Yu-Gi-Oh cards, Pokemon cards. So the transition to a digital version of that, verifiable with that additional blockchain immutability of data, of date, time, cost, it's kind of big for this kind of industry. Yeah, the last thing I want to share is these two additional sites from LaborX, which is PaymentX and TimeX. They have a decentralized hybrid exchange, which runs on Plasma, and then they have this PaymentX for companies who want to do business with other influencers and entrepreneurs around the planet, but they don't want to deal with like the local red tape of setting up as a client on a system. Oftentimes very difficult to do anyway. Maybe it's time sensitive. They have a whole payment invoicing system based around crypto, which is incredible. And they've also got the like LaborX, which is kind of like Upwork, but everything gets paid in crypto. They've got a great system there. Do check those out. I'm going to put a code at the end of this, but that's kind of my week. It's been a very interesting week. Another thing I should say about TimeX, LaborX, and PaymentX is that when I first started with them in January, their coin was at, I think, around $2.50, and it's now at $6.92. It's up 6% today. You can see it had a big pump there, and it's kind of just leveled out across here. But one of the reasons why I really liked LaborX is that they had this premium package, which if you pay 150 time tokens or you have them in your wallet, then you get access to their premium account, which is all of these additional benefits. Now, you would have got that a lot cheaper in January at $2 whatever per time token. Now that it's $6, holding on to some of these time tokens, every service that's out there is starting to run a token economy alongside their fiat offering. And why that's interesting is that the people who've never been into investing before are using these services and then realizing that they can get discounts or bonuses if they store some of their value, their capital, if you like, in these systems, because they're using them anyway. So you might as well invest in those companies to be around in the next couple of years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever it might be. All right, that's it for me today. I will catch up with you soon. Take care. Bye.